Hey, Chuck, I want to welcome you and everybody. I've got the pleasure of having Chuck Staszkiewicz here on the show with us today. And you want to listen to what Chuck has to say because he took a plumbing and HVAC shop out of his garage from zero, built it up to $20 million, was able to exit that business with a very respectable multiple. And so he's done what a lot of plumbers just dream about doing. And he has transitioned into the OG group where he works with and consults with business owners, plumbing and HVAC business owners, and helping them be able to do some of the same things that he's done. So, hey, Chuck, welcome. Great to have you here today.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. Appreciate it.
So you are from Salt Lake City, huh?
Yeah, originally from New Jersey, moved to Salt Lake City in 2008.
Wow. So what took you from New Jersey to Salt Lake?
Well, number one, the traffic was horrendous, but no, I'm a skier, outdoor enthusiast. I love being out in the outdoors, and I came out for a ski vacation in February of 2008, and I made up my mind. I said, "This is where I want to be," and 6 months later, I was here.
Wow.
Yep.
You sound like an action taker.
Yeah, yeah, very much
I
so.
get that. I
Yeah.
get that. Yeah, the skiing's a little bit better in Salt Lake than it is in New Jersey, I've heard.
I mean, they call it the ice coast for a reason on the East Coast.
Yeah.
No, I mean, but if you can ski there, you can ski anywhere. That's a big part of it. But I also saw the opportunities and the room for growth in Salt Lake City. And all my friends said, "Oh, you're crazy. You got a great job. You're doing great things here. Why would you want to do that?" And I just said, "This is my calling. This is where I need to be."
Wow, that is awesome. So I've heard it said that Salt Lake is has got the world's greatest snow or the world's greatest skiing. Would you agree
Uh,
with that?
I mean, if they put it on their license plate, it's got to be true, right? Like, you don't just search it on Google and find it. But yeah, I mean, there's not too many different places, and I've been to resorts all over, and there's not too many places that are like Salt Lake. That's for sure.
That is awesome. Just curious, when does the skiing season usually run?
So last year, they had record breaking. Last year, we had 900 inches of snow
Wow.
in the season, and I snowmobile as well. So we were snowmobiling by November 10th last year.
Oh,
Usually the big kickoff is Thanksgiving. Like all the resorts are trying to get open by Thanksgiving for the
yeah.
vacations, the holidays, all that stuff. They kind of get everything rolling by then. So they typically start making snow based on weather by Halloween. Sometimes Mother Nature kicks in and it's sooner.
Oh, that's awesome. Sounds like it must have been a great year last year
Yep,
for you.
yep, for sure.
So, Chuck, take this company right out of your garage, and you started it with how much again?
$10,000.
$10,000.
Yep.
You parlay that into a $20 million company. Share with us, you would about how you got started in plumbing and HVAC. Go back to the very beginning. What was going on in your life? How did you choose to do that, and how did you get started?
Yeah, that's a great story. So I feel like many plumbers, HVAC contractors, any contractors in general, they just don't like school or don't do well in school, right? Like, and I fit that bill, I fit that mold, and so I graduated high school barely, and I was working in the food industry and a lot of hours, right? Like food industry, I mean, it's you can make great money, but I realized very quickly, like, look, 60 to 100 hours a week. If you want to own your own place, like you are the business, to scale that, it's not going to be, it's going to be difficult, right? Can it be done? Yeah, sure, it can be done. But I realized I didn't want to do it that way. And it's interesting because, and I still talk to him, the guy that got me into it. He would come in for coffee every day, a plumber, local plumber, in Midland Park, New Jersey. He would come in for coffee every single day, and always talked to him, always picked his brain about things. And one time he asked me, he said, "Hey, I got this big job this weekend. Are you free? Would you like to come help me?" And I said, "Sure, why not? Extra money is extra money." So I went in. We got finished with the job, and he handed me like $400. And I think we were there for like 8 hours. And I was like, "Wait, man, you paid me way too much." And he's like, "No, we're good." And I'm like, "Wait, what do you mean we're good?" Like what's going on here, right? And I saw what he did. We did a full repipe of a sewer branch in a basement above ground, and it was interesting. I like to work with my hands, even though I was in food. I was still working with my hands, so I started asking questions, and I was like, "Well, if you can afford to pay me this much," and I didn't say that. I just said, "So, what did you charge for this job?" And he told me, I think at the time it was like $3,500, $4,000 or something like that. And I said, "Oh shit, how much were the parts?" Right? And he's like, it's something like 400, 450 in parts. So I started putting two together. After what he paid me, I was like, "So you made somewhere around $800 an hour?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Sign me up." And that was it, right? That was it. And he was friends with the owner of the place that I was working at, so he couldn't hire me directly. So I took and went and applied for some jobs, and I got into new construction. And I went from making, I think I was making $17 an hour plus overtime to $10 an hour. But I was all in, right? All in on it. And I in a short time, I think I changed a faucet for one of my friends, or one of my mom's friends, within, I think it was like 3 months or 6 months, and it took me 2.5 hours. Right, I was still real new at it, and I charged her $50, and I thought I was on top of the world, and I'll never forget that experience, right? Because that's how all in I was, and I knew then that this was my career path, and I took it from there. So then I went on to work in lots of overtime, studying things, buying my own tools. I actually sold my motorcycle to get a truck that I could do work out of, right, and tools. So yeah, and then I went into school and became a licensed plumber there. Yeah.
Wow. That
Yep.
is what a great story. All starting from, that one meetup with the guy, and to be able to just know your path. And so now that you've built your company, you're, working, with plumbers and business owners and being able to help them. Tell us a little bit about that, Chuck.
Yeah. So Richard, we feel that we had some great success, and we figured a lot of things out. We did a lot of things wrong, and we figured out how not to do them again, right? And we implemented a ton of stuff, and a lot of it worked, and a lot of it didn't work, right? And we decided that it would be a shame just to, I'm only 44 years old, so I could go retire on a beach if I wanted to. But I know that me and my sister have a lot to give back, and not just to contractors, but any business, right? Because you know the, I feel a lot of business owners go through it, right? You get to the points where you feel stuck, like you're doing things that you don't want to do. You're getting up and you're not wanting to get up and go to work. It wasn't the same level of passion when you first opened the doors, right? So I feel that we have a lot to give back in those areas, and we can really help grow and scale companies to, uh, you know, the profits that they want. Help them find the love of their business again, because that's the key, right? Is like sometimes you get burnt out, and avoiding that burnout, or knowing what to do when that burnout comes is super important. And just having somebody to turn to can really make the difference. I mean, I shared with you earlier that I don't have any regrets. I did really well for myself. I have a beautiful family, and I built an amazing company. But there are lots of things that I would do different. And one of the things that I would do different is I waited 9 years before I hired a coach and a mentor. I would go back to year one, and I would have implemented that way sooner. That was one of the biggest mistakes that I did. And knowing that is why me and Dana said we have got a lot to give back. We've got a lot of information and a lot of resources that people can really use and push them to the next level, whether that's scale and exit, whether that's scale and pass it down generations, whatever the business wants to accomplish. We will really tailor it per business, right? And again, like I said, not just home services, but we'll specialize in that because we do that really well.
Wow, that's really interesting. And I love what, you said about making that decision to work with a coach. And obviously, the most important part of that is being coachable. Because really, we have all probably seen circumstances where somebody hires a coach, they listen for about 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and then they go back to their old habits. Based on results, you became coachable, you became teachable. And what I loved hearing you say a moment ago, Chuck, was that you want to give back now. You want to see that same victory, to see that same accomplishment in other people, and taking, around $20 million worth of value that's in your head and be able to pass it on to other people. Am I hearing you correctly on that?
Yeah, thanks. That's great because here's the thing, right? And I was there too. I felt like I knew it all. I was making a lot of money, right? Like going from the restaurant industry to contracting, I was making more money than I ever thought. So I thought I knew it all. And I was throwing up lots of Hail Marys with no direction and they were sticking. Again, I shared with you, I was like Tom Brady in the fourth quarter. Like, you know, it was great. But I also like I didn't want to hear it from someone that hadn't been through it. And that was the key, Richard, is I found the right coach. It's not just a coach, it's the right coach.
Yeah.
And I watched other people with the same coaches that didn't do the things that same coach as me, that didn't do the same things that I did
Yeah.
and didn't accomplish the things that I did. They stayed stuck
Yeah.
because they refused to get out of their own way and implement things.
Hmm.
Right. And they again, like you said, weren't coachable.
Yep.
Right. They thought they knew it all. Oh, like even though they're paying for a coach and a mentor, they weren't utilizing the tools. Right. And I feel it was the right coach for me. It may not have been the right coach for them. That's super important when looking at those things is what the fit is. And again, giving back to me is part of the payment, right? Like if I can give back to someone and help them be a better father, husband, wife, mother, take their business to the next level, enjoy those times, be the family man or whatever they want to do, vacation, nice car, nice house, all that stuff. That's the reward for me because I was there. I had all the money, I had the big business, but I was missing on the back end, that stuff, right? Because I was so focused on the wrong things. And I was driving things so hard and fast in the business that were not the right things to be doing. And that's where, when you're in a business, you can't always take yourself to that 10,000 foot view because you're so stuck in the weeds.
Yep.
And that's what a coach, the right coach, can do for you.
Yep.
Is take and give you that 10,000 foot view when you can't, and then develop a plan in those areas of what's the most important thing to be focused on. We always want to say, oh, I need more phone calls. I need more phone calls. I need more phone calls. That's not always it. There's lots of other things, because if you start to get all the phone calls and you can't deliver on them, what's the sense of getting all the phone calls? So there's many, many, many things that go behind it. And that was my approach with throwing Hail Marys.
Wow.
Get all the phone calls, get more guys, throw them in trucks, and hope it worked. Right? The business account went up. I was doing good. It went down. Uh-oh, something's not working.
Wow.
Wrong way to look at it, right? Like, so that's what was brought to me. And now knowing and seeing how fast we went once we hired a coach, because we did, we did the same amount of revenue in less than half of the time by bringing in a coach. I realized I didn't know it all. And I wanted to go even faster. So
Wow.
That's
awesome. Yeah, it makes sense about focusing on the wrong things. The Hail Mary example. And as CEOs, as entrepreneurs, right? It's so easy to get caught in the weeds where you're blindsided. You have no clue that your decisions may or may not be effective. Having that person who sees your blind sides. And I always remember the example of a Tiger Woods, right? Was at the top of his game, greatest golfer on the planet. And he had talked about that he had a coach that he was working with. And the person interviewing him was like, "What do you mean? How can you have a coach?" And he said, "Hey, it's not so much that he is better than me. He sees my blind spots, and that's what has continued to make him great." And that applies to every plumbing business owner, every HVAC business owner out there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you want to be the best, look at the Kobe Bryant story. The guy practiced more and was out there more than anyone else, right? Because he wanted to be the best. And he wanted to stay the best.
Right.
You know, you can get to being the best yourself, but to stay the best, that's going to be difficult, right? Like to keep that momentum,
Yeah.
right? And you know, a coach is super important. Michael Jordan, you know, all these athletes have coaches, right? So what is the difference between a business and an athlete? There
Yep.
isn't,
Yep.
right? You want to be the best in business, hire yourself a coach.
Yep. Absolutely. 100%. So tell me about this. You talk about, hey, getting more calls, needing to deliver on them, right? You
Yeah.
know, when you're talking with a plumbing and HVAC business owner, share with them your experience, best tips, information to be able to help them be successful.
I mean, you know, there's so many, so many, but I feel that, you know, number one for me is you got to keep yourself in the game, right? So if you remember the day that you sign for that LLC or S corp or whatever you're doing, and how excited you are when you launch that business, and if you can take yourself and get up every single day like it's that moment, that will propel you in the times that it's not a great day, right?
Mm,
You know, and just use anything that comes at you. If it's not a great day, it's just a great day to have an opportunity to learn something new there,
mm,
right? But I really feel like showing up like it's the first day every single day is super important, right? Because your team is only as good as their leader, you know. And if you're having a bad day, your team's having a bad day,
mm.
you know. So keeping that consistent, or if you can't, you know, for me, I tend to, you know, I hate the saying fake it till you make it, but sometimes you got to put on that smile when you don't want to, right?
Mm.
You know, but to have somebody to go back to that's not my wife, you know, because once I got home, I didn't want to talk about that anymore. But to have a coach to say, hey, this is what happened, and realize like it wasn't a bad day. It was a huge opportunity for growth in that area
Yeah.
to say, okay, now this is an area I need to focus on. Because if it was painful,
Yeah.
I don't want it to be painful ever again. And how do I stop that? Right. So go back, fix that problem so it never comes back again. Like I would get, and this is where the burnout comes in, Richard, is like you fix the same problem or you have the same problem 10 times. You never fixed it. You just put the fire out,
Yeah.
right? Like that's all you're doing is putting out fires. Well, put in a system or a process that never happens again, you know. And then obviously I you know, I love to put the right people in the right place. I
Mm.
love the team that I formed. I couldn't have done what I did without my team, you know. I learned at a you know, it took me a while, right? Because you know, for the first 3 years, I didn't really scale and I really didn't grow, and I had to be okay with the way other people did things, right? Like I couldn't do it all myself anymore,
Yeah.
so I had to let other people make mistakes, you know, have a leak or not put in something properly or get the call back from the other guy that was there, and be okay with that and use that again, not as a bad thing, but as an opportunity to coach them to a higher level. I think that's, I mean, the short version, there's so many, but
Yeah.
that's the short version of what I would say is you know, just a couple areas. But one more I'll add to that too is I feel you should wake up every single day and look at 3 areas at least that you need to work on that day. And if you can't get through them all that day, that's okay. If it's super important and it's causing you pain, right? Make sure it goes on to the next day and write a system and process for it.
Mm. Yeah,
So
I love what you're talking about. Having the right people in the right seats, having your top three things, your top rocks. That's how I approach my day as well too. It's
yeah,
amazing what you get done when you have that kind of focus and that kind of mindset. And I love what you said as well too about trusting your team. You have to, a leader has to be able to trust the team. If you never let go of that, you'll never grow. Is what I'm hearing you say. Is that correct?
yeah, yeah. And do the things you don't want to do first.
Hmm.
Right?
Love
Like
that.
knock that stuff out first because then the other stuff's the fun stuff, right?
Yeah.
And if you continue to not like to do it, find somebody that loves to do it and move on to the things that you like to do.
Wow.
Don't force yourself to do the things that you don't like to do because that's another way you can get really sucked into the burnout.
Wow. Give me an example of that, Chuck, when you were growing your plumbing business, the things that you didn't like to do.
Yeah, I mean, numbers were never my thing, right?
Mm,
But I know it was important, so I put someone in there that understood them at a higher level than I did.
mm,
But then I've realized I had to ask the right questions, right? Why does it look like this? Why is this in this category? Um, Numbers, I feel, is probably the most important. It's your scorecard, right? It's the business KPI. If you don't know if you're winning, how do you improve anything or move in a different way or a different level,
yeah.
right? Because if you don't know exactly where the pain points are, you can't fix anything.
Yeah.
And if you don't know if you're winning, you can't continue to do those certain things that help you win.
Yes.
So the numbers tell a story. As much as I've heard numerous contractors, numerous plumbers, numerous HVAC guys, I'm not a numbers guy. I'm not a numbers guy. Okay, neither am I. But you have to understand them to a certain level and then get someone that understands them to a deeper level that you trust and can ask the right questions. Now, some of those questions could just be, okay, why is our labor percentage so high? Okay, you find that out from whoever your controller is, CFO, whatever it may be. Now you can go and say that target area, okay, HVAC labor is this high. What is going on there?
Mm,
Okay, maybe the installers are, on their phone too much. Maybe they don't have equipment ready. It's all going to tell a story, right? And you can really break it down in that category of, okay, if my labor percentage is too high, why is it them just not going fast enough? Or is it they have to run around to three different supply houses to get what they need for that install instead of just having it in a staging area in one different place? Now you're speeding up their day, speeding up the production. In every area, those numbers will tell that some sort of story like that.
yeah, that's crucial. You've got to know your numbers. That's really great stuff, Chuck. When it came to your CSRs, answering the phones, dealing with customers, such like that. That is an area that I've seen so often, Chuck, that will make or break a company. What are some of the areas when it comes to your CSRs, how you interact with company that you found that helped you guys, be able to succeed in that area?
Well, number one, think outside the box. I had CSRs in Michigan. I had CSRs in Florida. I had different time zones, all that, right? Like it doesn't, don't, for me, it wasn't just looking at, oh, I need a CSR with, you know, plumbing and HVAC experience. No, it was a personality, is what I was looking for, right? And that was the biggest one for me. Was finding that right personality, and it's customer service,
Hmm.
right? That's what CSR stands for. Whether it's plumbing or HVAC or painting or roofing or working at the drive-through or someone you meet out at a restaurant, if they've got a great personality, ask them, are you happy where you're at? Would you like to go into a different industry? And I found many talented people that way. I had one gal that was like, hey, I'd love to work for you, but I'm moving in 2 months. And I
Hmm.
said, cool, where are you moving to? It's moving to the East Coast. I said, awesome. So why are you doing that? I want to spend time on the beach. Okay, what if you had the mornings off and worked in the evening remotely? Was great. But back to your question at hand is, it was really the consistency. right? If they don't know their KPIs, if they don't know their scorecards or their job duties, how can they know what the expectation is, right? So by delivering them an SOP of sort, you can have the consistency built in. All you got to do is build it once and then just carry it across the board,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like so many people just come, and I did this myself, right? Like hire somebody, here you go to work. They don't even know what they're supposed to do,
Mm.
right? They don't know how to answer the calls. They don't know what to say, what not to say. And that's why they start to ask so many questions. And owners early in their business, their phones ring in every 5 minutes. How do I handle this? How do I handle that? How do I handle this? Because they don't know what you expect from them.
Yeah.
So if you have a job description built out for them and a training process of exactly what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it, now they're going to get hung up here and there. That's okay. You have one person that comes to you for that situation. You train that one person. Now that one person knows all the knowledge. Sooner or later, they're going to stop coming to you.
Mm.
So that's what I found with CSRs and dispatchers was just it was the consistency and really having a roadmap for them and
Yeah.
a plan. And some other things I'll share with the entire company, everyone is make sure that you know why they're getting up every day and coming to
Mm.
work. And also, building a career path. Because I took people that were in the office and just ask them, where do you see yourself in a year, 6 months, 2 years? Where do you see yourself? Now, I took people in the office and put them in the field and they excelled, right? Know what the career path is that they want,
Mm.
because it's real easy for the technicians to blame the office and the office to blame the technicians for everything, right? There's always that battle. Well, dispatch or CSR did this, and there's no notes, and all those things, right? But it may be because they're just doing a job that they don't really love,
Yep.
you know and that is interesting to find out because now, okay, start them in the warehouse or have them be a shadow. I had two gals that came out of the office. That one is a high level maintenance tech. She does plumbing maintenance, sewer line cameras. She does heating and cooling tune-ups, all within 6 months.
Mm.
Now, the company that acquired us took that model and they're building on it because they'd never seen it before. Okay. The other gal that I pulled from the office, she is actually in the warehouse running our VMI. She's going to go on to be a comfort advisor selling HVAC equipment. She's a technician right at the moment, but I know her drive and where she's heading. She's looking to be the top female comfort advisor in the nation, and I have no doubt in my mind that she's going to do it.
Wow, that is awesome. Chuck, I love what you're talking about because they're the little things that are the big things, right? You obviously, built, KPIs and SOPs because you didn't necessarily have your dispatchers in your CSR sitting in your physical building. From my understanding, you had the whole country to be able to choose from, and because your SOPs were so airtight, you can get high level performance from them, and you had a bigger pool to choose from versus someone trying to hire somebody within a 10-15 mile radius. Is that correct?
Yeah. In Richard, like if you think about this, a lot of people miss this point, right? So what is a manager? It's just to manage the performance of the team, correct?
Yep.
And in most people, even if you train them up, they come on, you got a great onboarding process, you have fantastic systems, fantastic processes. They're going to get it for about 6 weeks, and then they're going to start to come down. They're going to taper off that performance slowly and slowly, and that's what the manager's job is to do to bring them back up to that top performance level that you want them running at. That's what the SOPs and the KPIs are, or to a formula to give them to get them back up to the top. So yeah.
That is awesome. I love the way that you approach leadership, and I can see why and how you are able to scale your company, and it's through people. It's not about focusing necessarily on the answering the phones, picking up the parts, going handling the job. It is people, building your team, leading your team, if I'm hearing you correctly. Is that right?
Y- Yep, 100%. Everybody would introduce me. Hey, this is Chuck. He's the owner. When new people would come in, I would stop them dead in their tracks, and I would always tell them, "No, I'm just your teammate.
Wow,
Welcome to the team."
that's
And
beautiful.
it's like I love that. I never wanted to be the owner, right? I was in the trenches with the guys. I was out, in the warehouse. I was, in the office listening to the phone calls, even taking phone calls myself, the complaints. I did all that. I did
Mm,
every position in the company as it grew. But I can tell you too, Richard, that everything that you're hearing from me today is not the all hours plumbing or the Chuck of the first 9 years of owning my business.
mhm,
I did not learn all this stuff during that time. I was
mm.
putting out fires every single day. Where I learned this was when I brought in the right coach and the mentor, and that's when I scaled.
I love that. 100%. Hey, going from zero to $20 million, being able to, that's the pipe dream. I think for a lot of plumbers, be able to get a very respectable, multiple on the way out, be able to cash in your years of hard work. And you did it in a fraction of the time that a lot of guys do. And so, Chuck, I wish that we had more time. This is such, I mean, great information that we're getting here. But if a plumber or HVAC business owner wanted some coaching help, wanted to be able to reach out and work with you, can you let them know how to be able to get in touch with you?
Yeah, right now it is being formed. We exited August 1st. We're launching November 1st. We have a few clients already in the pipeline for our services, but right now it's team at opusgolds.com, opusgolds.com. That's how you can get in touch with me, and I'll throw out my cell phone number too if you want to text me directly. It's 201-294-5287. I'm happy to answer any questions or comments. And